Okay, everybody, welcome to the conference with Le Cercle des Langues. Today we are speaking about mastering future tenses. It is for the level B1 to B2. My name is Chanel Garcia, and I will be taking you through the conference this evening. Just a little administration. The conference will be for 25 minutes, and then we will have a question and answer session for the last 5 minutes of our conference this evening. So if you have any questions or any comments that you would like to make, you can either put them in the chat, which you will find the button at the bottom of your screen, or you can write your questions or comments down and we will have a look at them towards the end. So, today we will be looking at 4 tenses. We will be looking at the future simple, which is characterized by the word will. We will be looking at the future, speaking about going to, and we will be looking at the present simple used in the future, and we will be looking at the present continuous. Okay? So there are 4 main ways we can express the future in English. The first one is by using the word or the verb will, the word will. The second is by using the phrase going to. The third one is by using the present simple. And the fourth is by using the present continuous. So this evening we will have a look at each part individually, and we will look at some examples as well. So today we will see the structure of each one and how to use them in context. We are beginning with the future simple will. The simple future tense is used to refer to actions or states that begin and end in the future. These events have not happened yet. And if you look at the diagram, you can see that we have the past, we have the present, and we have the future activity. Our future tense or simple future tense is using will plus the base form of the verb. Sometimes we talk about the base form and sometimes we talk about the infinitive of a verb. With the base form, we are talking about when we remove the infinitive. So, for example, to speak, I remove the to and I have speak, and that is my base. So, here are the rules for the future simple. The future simple tense with will is used to make predictions or guesses about the future. For example, he said it will rain tomorrow. I think our team will win the baseball game. We can use it to ask questions about the future. Will we find the pirate treasure? We can also use it to express factual statements about the future. It will be a leap year next year. If you look at the 2 example sentences, you can see that we have the verb find and we have the verb be. So for the future, we need to add will, find, will, be. And that is how the future simple tense works. We often use will to express things in the moment, and we use will to talk about something we think will happen. To consider future possibilities or conditions, here the future is combined with the present simple. Okay, so let's have a look at the example sentence. If I fail this test, my parents will take away my phone. Okay, this sentence is also called the zero conditional. Okay, the first conditional, excuse me. Why is it called the first conditional? Because we have something that will happen if something else happens. Okay, for example, if I fail this test, my parents will take away my phone. If I fail is in the present tense. My parents will take away my phone is in the future. If you look at the structure of the sentence, you can see that if is always coupled with the present. Will is at the end. If you turn the sentence around, my parents will take away my phone if I fail the test, it is also correct. That means that as long as you always put if with the present tense phrase, you can turn the sentence around and it will still mean the same thing. We use it when we are making the decision now about the future. For example, I will go to the mall. I am deciding now. Okay, so they have shown us two instances. They have shown us will is used when we make a spontaneous decision to do something, and will is used when we think something will happen. Okay, let's look at the structure. The future simple is easily implemented as we use will with all the subjects. So the conjugation, I will go, we also have a contraction, I'll go. That contraction takes away the W and it takes away the I, and we add an apostrophe. So let's look at that structure. We have I or I'll, you or you'll, he or he'll, she or she'll, it or it'll, you or you'll, we or we'll, they or they'll. But notice that the conjugation does not change with the subjects. I will go, you will go, he will go, she will go, it will go, you will go, they will go. And you can couple it with any of the verbs that you see, any base, and the conjugation will be the same per verb and per subject. So in negative sentences, we use will not or won't. And in questions, we reverse the subject and will. And here we have a beautiful diagram of showing what those changes are. So you have the subject for positive sentences. We have the subject plus will or shall plus the verb in its base form. For example, I will go to Thailand. In negative sentences, we have the subject plus will not or won't plus the verb form, the base form. For example, I will not go to Thailand. In the last example, we have a question. Will plus the subject plus the verb and plus whatever you would like to add before the question mark. For example, will you go to Thailand? As with the questions, you can see that we have that inversion. The question word now comes first, then the subject, and then the verb. Okay, so that word will comes first. Common verbs in the simple future. We've got to be, which then becomes the simple future, will be, and the negative, which will be, will not be. To ask becomes will ask, becomes will not ask. To work will become will work, will not work. To call, will not call. To use, will not use. To have, will not have. The formula for the simple future is will plus your root form of the verb. We have 4 examples here. Let's have a look. I will learn a new language. Jen will read that book. My brothers will sleep till noon if no one wakes them up. You will see what I mean. How to make the simple future negative? To make the simple future negative, the formula is will plus the word not plus the root form of the verb. For example, Jen will not quit before she reaches her goal. Make sure you arrive on time tomorrow because the bus will not wait for you. How do we ask a question in the simple future? To ask a question in the simple future, the formula is will plus the subject plus the root form of the verb. For example, will Jen finish the book War and Peace over the summer? Or will I have the discipline to study Spanish every day? So that summarizes the first part of our conference today, will. Okay, so we remember that we use will for spontaneous decisions and things that we think will happen. The second part of that future is going to, and there are a different set of rules for going to. We use be going to talk about future plans and intentions. Usually, the decision about the future plan has already been made. Okay? So, here are the rules. We use going to for intentions and plans. When we have the intention to do something before we speak, we have already made a decision. The two examples we have is Joe has won the lottery. He says he's going to buy a Porsche. Number two, we are not going to paint our bedroom tomorrow. There is the intention and there is a plan. We use going to make a prediction about the future. Our prediction is based on present evidence. We are saying what we think will happen. For example, the sky is very black. It's going to snow. It's 8:30. You're going to miss your train. The difference with these examples is that the present situation, the black sky or the time, gives us a good idea of what is going to happen. So that means there is present evidence. And that is why we now use going to. We use the subject plus to be plus to going to, and that is our structure. For example, we have all of our subjects I, you, he, she, it, you, we, and they. And we can see our conjugation of the verb to be. For example, I am, you are, he or she or it is, you, we, they are. Then we have the part going to, and we have the base form or the infinitive. Not going to go, to do, to see, to play, to fight, to tell, to read, and to go. Remember that for this part of the future, we also have a contraction. I am going to can become I'm going to. In negative sentences, we use not after to be, and in questions, we reverse the subject and to be. So let's start with the positive, the affirmation. I am going to work, he is going to work, or we are going to work. When there is a negative, we say I am not going to work, he is not going to work, we are not going to work. But what we also have is a question. What, where, or when, remember these are question words and they go at the beginning of a question. But if there are no question words, it's okay because we still have the verb and then we have the subject. Am I going to work? Is she going to work? Are you going to work? So let's look at some examples. I am going to buy a new car. I'm going to go swimming. He is not going to take the exam. It isn't going to rain. Are you going to paint the house? So already now we have the second part of the future, going to, be going to, and we use this when we have plans or the intentions to do something and when there is proof that something is going to happen. And that is very different from will. The formula for going to is subject plus to be plus going to plus the root form of the verb. I am going to cook next Tuesday. How do we make the negative? We take the subject plus to be plus not plus going to and then the root form of the verb. She is not going to win the competition. How do we ask a question? We take to be plus the subject plus going to plus the root form of the verb. Are you going to go to Jamaica next year? The third part is the present simple. How do we use the present simple to speak about the future? When we know something is about to happen, or when we know something about the future, we normally use the present tense. It is used for something that has been scheduled. For example, we have a lesson next Monday. The train arrives at 6:30 in the morning. The holidays start next week. It's my birthday tomorrow. Remember the present simple structure. Due to the speaker knowing what will happen, we can use the present. Okay? For example, I play, you play, he or she or it plays, we play, you play, and they play. And we have added a future time, and that is what pushes that sentence into the future. On Thursday, his match starts at 6 p.m. Tomorrow is my piano class. And finally, we talk about the present continuous used in the future. When do we use the present continuous to talk about the future? We can use the present continuous for plans or arrangements in the near future. For example, I am playing football tomorrow. They are coming to see us tomorrow. We are having a party at Christmas. The structure for that is the subject plus the verb to be plus the verb with ing. And for negative, we use not after to be. So for example, let's look at the positive. He is playing. He is playing is my subject with to be and with my verb with the ing at the end. For my negative sentence, I have my subject with to be, and I add the word not plus my verb in ing. And finally, I have my question. I just invert my subject and my verb to be, and I add my verb with ing at the end. Is he playing? When you talk about arrangements and established plans, you have to use the verb to be plus the verb ing. For example, I am asking, I am not asking, am I asking? You are asking, you aren't asking, are you asking? He or she or it is asking, isn't asking, or is he or she or it asking? So as you can see, we have all of the subjects, all of the verbs with to be, and we have the verb with ing on the end. When to use the present continuous to talk about the future, where there are fixed arrangements in the near future. For example, what are you doing after school? I am buying tickets for Saturday's match. So let's do a quick summary of the 4 parts. So the first part we were speaking about is the verb will. We remember that will is used for spontaneous and instant decisions and for things that we think will happen. But unlike be going to, unlike the next part, there is no proof. And with be going to, there is visible proof that something is going to happen. And we use be going to when we have intentions and when we have made plans. Okay? We then can use the present simple to speak about the future. However, when we speak about the future, it is important to use a future time or future date. I play piano tomorrow. Okay? Tomorrow shows us that it is a time or date in the future. And then we can also do the same with the present continuous by giving it a date and time in the future. I am playing piano tomorrow. Okay? So we need to remember that that time and date in the future is very important for it to become a future arrangement. Otherwise, it remains the present simple or it remains the present continuous. We have some resources for you from the Cercle des Langues. We have e-learning modules that you can do from the platform. The first one is the present continuous. The second is the future simple. The third is the present simple, part 2. The fourth is the present simple versus the future simple. And the last one is will versus going to. We also have a wonderful article from Le Cercle des Langues blog, Comment utiliser will and will versus going to. And then our third video is from YouTube, which is talking about the future. Okay, so that brings us to the end part. I am going to unmute your microphones and you please feel free to ask any questions, or do you have any questions about the future tenses? I think everyone is still muted, but you can also put your questions in the chat if you would like to. Alma or Natalie, do you have any questions? Okay, awesome. So Natalie and Alma, the Cercle des Langues, the presentation, will be sent to you via email. So feel free to have a look at it and feel free to ask questions, or your cours particulier with your professor. You are more than welcome to ask questions based on what we have there today. But there are many examples. So if it's not clear, you can always try to practice the modules and then ask your professor, and I'm sure that they will be able to help you. So, Natalie and Alma, thank you so much for attending this conference with me. And I hope that you have a wonderful weekend and a beautiful end of the year. So, thank you so much. Bye.